And for that, it would be a good idea to have a little UI. It would be a good idea to have a little UI on top of it. So we know exactly how much time we have left, right? It's a good idea to have one. So that's what we are going to add now. So let's go back to the hat. Here it is, vehicle UI. If you lost it, you can search it in the content. So let's go back to the hat. Here it is, vehicle UI. If you lost it, you can search it in the content drawer. You can click on content and type vehicle UI.
Nani is like a mermaid, and we made friends with dolphins.
Here it is. And we already have some components. Well, in this case, they're not called components, they're called widgets. So I'm going to create a new widget. Well, I will use the widgets that are already here. So we can have our time here also. So first, you can just drag the text and move it around. Now I just saw that this is an overlay. So I will need to put my text here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I will later add some padding that it will be a good thing to have. Just like this horizontal box has. So 32, let's just keep using 32. Now, I want to have my text be like, oh, time remaining here, and the numbers here, right? So I need to organize it vertically. So a way to do that is by adding a vertical box. This text box needs to be inside a text vertical box, and we can see the use case of a vertical box here. Gear and the label. And you can see how we can arrange, and let me zoom in, we can arrange the elements using this. And the same with here. And this is inside a horizontal box because it is being arranged horizontal. So thanks to these panels, then we can find them here. We can organize our UI very cleanly. And I'm going to do just that. I'm going to here in my hierarchy panel, and just to break down very simply, or very quickly, this is the UMG editor, the Unreal Motion Graphic editor. We have this designer part of the editor. Here we have the palette of all the widgets that we can drag and drop, images, progress bar, etc. And we also have the hierarchy of the overall design. The details panel works exactly the same as in Blueprints, where we can click on any of these widgets and change their properties. And also we have this graph part where we can add some code. To change the values, right? So for now, text block, right click it, wrap with, and I'm going to choose a vertical box. So now this vertical box is holding my text block. I want to have another text wrap, right, where we and change their properties. And also we have this graph part where we can add some code to change the values, right? So for now, text block, right click it, wrap with, and I'm going to choose a vertical box. So now this vertical box is holding my text block. I want to have another text block just like this. So I'm going to drag and drop another text on top of the vertical box here. So now I have the text block and the other text block like this. I could copy the design of how they are doing this. It seems there is some kind of padding here and the gear is different. And the font is also different. So here I'm going to change the typeface to light. I believe it was, yeah, it's light. And I will change the text to time remaining. Just like that. This text block should be in the middle, so I'll put it in the middle. The same with this one. I mean, if you put middle or fill horizontally, it will be almost the same, only if your text is long enough. Otherwise, we cannot. Stretch text with this fill horizontal. So for now, I'll just put it like this. And in here, I will put it on top. You won't see that much of a difference. So for now, I'll just put it like this. And in here, I will put it on top. You won't see that much of a difference. Now, this text block, I want to increase it a little bit. Not that much. Let's just put 0, 0. And now we can play around with the size. And I'm going to choose 40. Gonna compile and press play. play just to see. And now I need to update this value. And there are a lot of ways of connecting the UMG, and maybe this should be a little bit bigger. There are a lot of ways of connecting widgets to data. One of them is just by going here, bind, create the binding, and now I need to choose where to get this value. I know that my time is inside my game mode, and it's called start timer duration. So in this case, I could get game mode, cast it, and my game mode is called game mode racing game. Just connect it like this, and let's get the timer duration. Now this is going to be converted to text, and here we can set up the number of integral digits, maximum integral digits, fractional, maximum fractional digit. Here I will put 0. I don't want any fractions. Or we could have, let's just leave it at 3 for now. Let's see how it looks. And the game has started. This number is not changing, and nothing is happening, right? We can lose because the way we are losing, if we remember correctly, is just a start timer duration, and we have a timer. And because of the way that we are doing things, I made a little mistake. We are not using this value as the variable that is holding the information. We are actually using the timer. So let's use the timer also in the vehicle HUD. So instead of getting this, I'm going to get the timer value. And here I will get the time, well, remaining time, and connect this timer remaining time by handle to this value. Now let's see what happens. The timer starts and we can see the values, right? So let's just put here 0. So we get normal numbers. And now we can see our time change. Now it is working, right? And if I put 2, maybe it won't. Minimum fractional also, I'll put 2. Just so I'm always getting this information. And it is giving me the exact seconds that the timer has. And well, if it's -1, it means that the timer is not working. So that may be an issue later. Now, what is the issue with this type of implementation? As you can see, it was very easy to implement, but I need to warn you, because whenever we are binding, this means that every frame, this functionality will get evaluated and executed. So, whenever we are binding, this means that every frame, this functionality will get evaluated and executed. So if we had the time like updating every 1 second and not with a timer, because whenever we are binding, this means that every frame, this functionality will get evaluated and executed. So if we had the time like updating every 1 second and not with a timer, then we will be wasting, like if the game is running at 60 frames, we will be wasting 59 frames. Okay, so every tick this, well, this code that is binded is being executed. In our case, it's fine because it is giving me the exact type of animation that gives me without me doing anything. Makes it like I'm really running out of time and making the game feel a lot more more dramatic with the time passing. But in this case, it's working very well. But again, if we didn't have the fractional time.
Built to help you develop skills that you can apply right away, Google Play Academy offers.
We really wouldn't need to update every tick this number, because it is showing me the same number, right? So it wouldn't be wise to use a bind for everything. In this case it works, but I just wanted to make it clear that not every case will be like that when you're working with UI. This is not a UI tutorial, this is just a racing game, and in our case, this works. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the vehicle UI, but the thing is that our checkpoints are not working correctly because I messed up with the implementation. I mean, it gave me more time at first, but it was because the timer was not ready yet. So what I need to do is reset the timer. I need to fix that here in the game mode, and specifically, where is my cross a checkpoint, add time to timer, and this is just a setup value, and I forgot completely that this is just a setup value. So I'm going to get the timer again. I'm going to get the time remaining. Get timer remaining time. This. And I'm going to add this value to the time to add. Now, we have no way of adding timer to a currently running timer. What we just need to do is reset it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're not setting this, we are setting a new timer. Set timer by event, and it's the same exact code that our, where is our timer? Here, game start, set timer, this is time remaining timer. It's the same code, but we need to connect it again to the lose out of time. So we need to give this timer the same time it has now, plus the time that we are adding. We need to connect it to the event, and we can do that by using the create event. And now we select the function lose out of time, right? Lose out of time. Perfect. And we do need to set up the variable holding the timer because it is being resetted and put another value. So this one will need to be something like this. Now, this is the way that we are adding time. Now, we're adding time to the timer by setting it up again and setting it up this value. So now, if we compile and save, let's press play. Let's start for the timer to start. We cross one checkpoint and it adds 7 seconds to our time remaining. And as we cross more checkpoints, we can see how it adds, how it adds more times. And we cross the last one, we reset the time, and there it is. Now I want to tackle something before we pass to the next thing, and that will be whenever we run out of time. I don't want it to show -1. I would much rather it be 0. So let's go back to a vehicle UI, and whenever this value is 0, well, -1, I'll just do something like this. If this is less than 0, I'm going to select a value. So if it's -0, I will let it be a 0. If it isn't, then it will pick the B value and it will be the normal value. something like this, just so I don't have to see that -1 value. Now we can press play and we can wait a little bit so the timer goes down and reaches the value that I'm trying to avoid, which is -1. So it should stay as 0. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this implementation is that right now, what I did just now, I'm sorry, I need to explain it. I'm playing the game, right? I'm pressing Shift F1 to let go of the mouse. Then I'm clicking here and I'm selecting the object that is currently created in the game. Otherwise, I won't see the nodes running. So this is my problem with this implementation, is that this is being executed even though it is always giving me 0. So well, if I was making this game and well, it really depends, okay? It really depends. If I'm making this game and this interface is being used everywhere, for sure I wouldn't want this to happen because I'm updating 0 for nothing. But if immediately after we lose, we destroy this interface, then I wouldn't worry too much about it because I'm no longer executing this. Okay, so if you wanted to change this type of approach is through events. An event-based system is a much robust system because you are in charge of when this is being updated, when should we do the updating of the UI. But there are a lot of compromises that I don't want to make the video longer just for that. And if you want, you can come to our Discord channel and we could chat about it. Okay, so now this is working. Let me save, compile, save. But the fact that this is working doesn't mean that it is a good experience. Because whenever I pass a checkpoint, I don't have any indication that the time was added other than the number changing. It should maybe flash, maybe change color, maybe get a little bit bigger, something like that. So that's what we're going to do now. A little bit of polish to the mechanic that we just added. We'll first add the animation and then we will trigger it when the time is added. To add an animation in the UI, we need to go to the designer and we need to create an animation here. Animations, add an animation, and I will call it time added. This animation, whenever I click it, will enable my timeline. And my timeline, I only need to add, I only want it to go from 0 to 1. But we will see how we do that. We first need to select a track. Well, create a track. And in the track, we will determine what is the widget that we will be affecting. So I do need to select the widget that I want to I only want To add an animation in the UI, we need to go to the designer and we need to create an animation here. Animations, add an animation, and I will call it time alert. This animation, whenever I click it, will enable my timeline. And my timeline, I only need to add, I only want it to go from 0 to 1. but we will see how we do that. We first click it, and here we need to go to the designer, and we need to create an animation here. Animations, add an animation, and I will call it time alert. This animation, whenever I click it, will enable my timeline. And my timeline, I only need to add, I only want it to go from 0 to 1. But we will see how we do that. We first need to click it, will enable. This animation, whenever I click it, will enable my timeline. And my timeline, I only need to add, I only want it to go from 0 to 1. But we will see how we do that. We first need to select a track. Well, create a track. And in the track, we will determine what is the widget that we will be affecting. So I do need to select the widget that I want to affect. In this case, the number. Going to go to animations, and with this number, which is a text block, selected, I want to track and select this one. Text, vertical box slot, right? Let's just select text. And it's the same name. So yeah. Now with this, we are adding this track to our animation, and this. Let's just select text. And it's the same name. So yeah. Now with this, we are adding this track to our animation, and let's click on track. What we want to change is the scale, and the scale is inside the transform. So click on transform, and here you will find the scale. Let's click on the plus sign so we can enter a keyframe, and let's enter a new one in the 0 value. Well, excuse me, in the 1 second value, if I can click on it. Okay, whoop, there it is. Now with that, I'm not seeing anything, but we can first make it grow here at 0. If I can want the plus sign so we can enter a keyframe, and let's enter a new one in the 0 value. Well, excuse me, in the 1 second value, if I can click on it. Okay, whoop, there it is. Now with that, I'm not seeing anything, but we can first make it grow here at 0.5. and I will make it grow maybe by 2 and 2, and you see that it is getting pixelated, and that's really not a good look. So in order to avoid this, what we can do is make it bigger. For example, this is twice the size, right? So something like this. I'm going to return to my designer just by clicking here, so we are not longer in the animation. Or well, if we don't no longer want to be in the animation, here I need to click outside of the animation, and now we are not in the animation. And I'm going to increase the font maybe to 100, which is twice the size, right? And with this, now I'm going to first align it to the top, and let's go to animations, select on time added, and here I'm going to change the scale, and instead of starting at 1, it will start at 0.5, and here 0.5. Now it can increase. Well, I no longer want this at 2 value, I want this at 1. And we won't see the pixelation. And this should be at 0.5 also. The only trouble that I have now is that it's a little bit too far away from our time remaining here. So it's not exactly the look that I want this to have. And it doesn't matter what I choose here, because right now we are scaling down. What we do need to do is put it a little bit higher. This is a way of avoiding the text pixelation, but it leaves a little bit to be desired on the design part. So I'll go here to the transform. Where is it? Transform, render transform, and I'm going to move it a little bit. Yeah, -32 or -30 just to be safe. Here in the animation, I'm going to delete these translation keys. Just select it and delete them. And they should be able, and also the shear, that should be able to give me the normal. There it is. That just select it and delete them, and they should be able, and also the shear, that should be able to give me the normal there it is, the normal value that I wanted. So that's how we are avoiding the text pixelation in a quick manner, right? So we have this animation. If we press play, should pop out, but also I want to change the color. So here in the text block, there should be something called color and opacity. Should pop out, but also I want to change the color. So here in the text block, there should be something called color and opacity. And inside this, well, I want a key at the start, and I want a key here. That's it, and a key at the end. The key at the end should be white. The key here should be green, maybe. And the color of green should be red 0, green 1, and blue 0. Oh, and I didn't put the correct timeline, so the correct time frame. And again, 0, 0, red 0, blue 0. There I have it. So now we should have something like this. This is the animation part of our time remaining. Let's just click outside of this animation. And well, the values should be the same as we left them. Just keep in mind whenever you are changing changing stuff inside an animation here, that it does matter if you have this animation clicked and the values may be changed, or you have it outside of the animation.
Mr. and Mrs. Sharma and Mr. and Mrs. Dubey. लड़का हीरा है, एकदम हीरा है.
ये शुक्ला जी तो तेरे लिए
And you will see these buttons here to add more tracks. For example, I could add a shadow offset, and that will make it appear here somewhere. If the more track and outside you have the same as we left them. Just keep in mind whenever you are changing stuff inside an animation here, that it does matter if you have this animation clicked and the values may be changed, or you have it outside of the animation. And you will see these buttons here to add more tracks. For example, I could add a shadow offset, and that will make it appear here somewhere. If this is selected and I add something, and for that it's better if you just dock it in the layout, time added, shadow offset, and now you should be able to see it appear. But I much prefer just changing the values here once I know which the values are. Now let's trigger this animation whenever the time is added, right? So I'm going to deselect this animation, and for now I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to go back to the graph. Right now I'm inside this getText function that is being binded to my text. I'm going to close it. For now, function that is being binded to my text. I'm going to close it for now. And I'm going to add another event at the bottom. This event is a custom event, will be play added time anim. And for this, we will get the animation that we just created here in variables, animations, time added, get time added, and play. Play animation, the target itself, the animation is the time added, start time 0 is fine, number of loops 1, 0, loops over and over again. Forward, this is very useful if you need the same animation but backwards, we can put it in reverse. And playback speed is a very important one, because this will let us choose how fast or how slow we want this animation that we created. That's why I created this animation. Where is it? Here. From 0 to 1. So whenever I put 2, I know it's twice the speed, so it will be 0.5. And if I put 0.5, I know it's twice slower, so it will be 2 seconds at the end. Okay, with this, we just need to call the play added time animation. So let's compile and save. To call this play added time anim, I need to find out where this vehicle UI has been created. And I remember that it is inside the vehicle controller. Here it is, vehicle player controller. And I'm going to put it here. This vehicle player controller inside the event begin play. Oh, and by the way, I use Ctrl P to open that little window. Okay, so in the event begin play, this creates the widget. This says that it's, this saves this widget, this HUD, into this variable, and then it is added. Now we just need to call this whenever we need it. So I'm going to go to the game mode, which is the one who knows when to add the time, and I'm going to create a sequence node. Or no, it's too much hassle for just one thing. Here, after setting the new timer, I want to get this vehicle player controller, so let's just get it. Get player controller. The player index will always be 0, except whenever you are working in split screen games. Then you could have the different viewports, and this is just the index of the viewport, so it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. For the other type of games, single players and online multiplayers, 0 is okay. Let's cast this to the vehicle player controller. Here we're going to get that HUD reference, get vehicle HUD, and here we will call the play. Where is it? Play added time animation. And that's how we are going to call that animation. Now we will press play, and let's see what happens when we get more time. We cross the first checkpoint. There it is. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Added get vehicle HUD player. Let's just get it. Get player controller. The viewport is here. We're going to get that HUD reference, get vehicle HUD, and here we will call the play. Where is it? play added time animation. And that's how we are going to call that animation. Now we will press play. And let's see what happens when we get more time. We cross the first checkpoint. There it is. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Now we know how is our... Well, not how. When is our time getting better? Right? It is very hard to miss, actually. So we just polished a mechanic that we already had working, but this increases the enjoyment and the experience. Well, more than enjoyment, increases the ease of use of the experience for any type of game. So let's just save everything, and for now let me close.
Today I'm going to show you guys the difference between using a regular mouse and using the space.
All the classes, just so we are in the same track. We have used the vehicle template, which comes with its own. Clicking here, and we can check the game any overrides here. Otherwise we would need to choose here, select game mode class, and press none. And here in the where it says project settings, again select game mode class and select the one that we created, which is gaming racing game. So with that clear, we can proceed with the last part. The last part of